Welcome to this episode of Relationships Turned On. Now, this episode, I have had so many conversations with couples that say, I feel like my partner isn't trying. I'm putting in all the effort and all the work, and they are not doing anything. And I just don't know what to do. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. I'm ticked off, to say it nicely. And I'm putting in so much work and I feel like I'm getting nothing back. I feel like they are putting in subpar effort or no effort or little effort, or they're kind of just coasting by. Like they're kind of used to the relationship, so they're not really putting their best foot forward like they would have in the beginning. And they're sort of saying, I am trying to put my best foot forward. I am trying to give this relationship my all, but I don't feel like I'm receiving that back. And what on earth should I do? So today's episode is going to address all of that and probably more, which is such an important topic because I think we all do have phases and seasons in our relationship where this does happen, or sometimes it is a consistent pattern or cycle in relationship that really needs to be addressed. So we're going to go through 10 different ways that you can address this within your relationship, within your partnership, and what you can actually practically, tangibly do about this. So this is such a good one, but also today I have something free for you that is going to be so good, a game changer, save your relationship blueprint. You can go below to the show notes and get that. It's completely free, gives you a breakdown of what to do if you feel like your relationship is in a place where it needs saving, where you feel like it's just not working, something must be done. We need to do something to fix this now. So you can go and get that below. So before we get to the episode, I want to just do a bit of a personal share today. So something that I have been kind of reflecting on is I'm right now quite in a busy season, a full season of lots of amazing work and working with lots of brilliant people, which is so good. And I've been reflecting on our capacities. And so it's interesting to me that sometimes I'll start with a couple and they will say they don't have time for this, they can't do this, da 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 da, like life's too full. And I get all those things. I totally understand. I have kids myself. I have a husband myself. We have many, many things going on at once. And I think all of us do now, right? It's basically the norm. And I think we can't prioritize a relationship because we don't have the time. Now, kind of linking this back to me and where I am at, it was more for me like focusing on client work and doing more of that. And can I do more of that? And what was interesting is that our capacities really do expand. We can surprise ourselves and we are capable of way more than we ever give ourselves credit for. And so as I've been in this season, I've been kind of reflecting on what's working, what's not working. And the same can be said for your relationship. You can directly apply this to your relationship. Your capacity can expand. Your capacity for affection, for quality time, for prioritization of it, for great communication skills, for regulating your own nervous system. All these things are skills that can be learned and your capacity for it can expand. We can start off terrible with capacity, and this can be applied to almost everything, right? Capacity in any way, shape, or form. We feel like we can have small capacity, and sometimes we can surprise ourselves when we stretch ourselves. So I really want to challenge you today. Like, this is something I've been thinking about. That's why I'm sharing it. And I really want to challenge you today. Where are you playing small in capacity? Where do we think that we can't extend our capacity? Whether it's, well, we don't have any time, so we can't do this. I want to challenge you to think about how you can make the time. Time doesn't show up, you make it. If you feel like we are not prioritizing our relationship, then where can you make the time and prioritize the relationship? Where can you increase your capacity for what you're doing in the day? Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about crazy stuff, but maybe you can add an extra 5-10 minutes that you spend that quality time with your partner. And yes, maybe it's making your day 5 or 10 minutes longer. That's okay, but maybe it's worth it for the payoff, right? Or maybe you're deleting something else that you would normally do in that time in order to foster your relationship. Or maybe it's not relationship related at all. Maybe it's 5 or 10 minutes on your health so you can be healthier and so you can be a better partner. That is also an investment into our relationship. But it's also a capacity thing, right? We suck at working out when we first begin. It's terrible. It's hard. You can't breathe, all the things. And you get better and better and better over the time. Same with relationships, same with your work capacity. It grows and changes. When you start a new job, it's really, really hard. The hours suck. The hours feel too long, all of the things. But over time, our capacity changes and we get more used to it. We get used to how to do this and how to cope with it and how to manage it. So I guess my real point, if you take anything from this first part of this episode, is capacity changes with practice. Capacity is also usually a lot bigger than we think it is. We think it's a lot smaller for ourselves in all areas. It is actually a lot bigger than what we think it is. So I want you to see where you can stretch yourself, stretch your capacity. because it's a really interesting thing to play with when you kind of understand what I'm talking about. And so what I mean by capacity is like your ability to do something. And once you play with that, you can really go, oh, okay, like I do have capacity. I can do these bigger work days, or I can spend that extra time on my relationship and it actually helps. It doesn't hinder. Okay. And I think that's a really big mindset shift that's important for a lot of couples to get where they want to go, whether it's been health, career, relationships, all of the areas. All right, to today's episode. So like I said, what to do when you feel like your partner isn't trying is in the relationship. So the first one is to really pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this a pattern or a temporary phase? So sometimes we have this where like work stress, pressure, kids, personal struggles, maybe we lost a loved one, all of these things happen. And let's be real, no one's their best self in those circumstances. And so maybe it's a temporary phase, and that's okay. We all go through temporary phases. That's where we just give each other love, kindness, grace, and ask, how can I support you more throughout this? So it's really important to know, is this like a consistent pattern or a temporary phase, right? And we might have like dips and, well, it comes and goes, and that's okay. But if it's a consistent pattern, then that's obviously something that's deeper and needs to be really looked at. Number two, and this is something couples notoriously do really bad, honestly, is check your expectations. Often we hold all of these expectations on our inside. We never, ever, for some reason, communicate them with our partner. We think that they know them. We think that they understand them. Most of the time they don't, trust me. So it's really important. Are you expecting something they don't realize? Have you actually communicated your needs, your wants, and your feelings properly? Because people aren't mind readers, so we need to explicitly, with love, communicate it to them. Once you do that, then that's a different thing, because they know. If you haven't ever done that, then sometimes we have to check the expectations and go, oh, well, is it actually them or is it actually me? And we can all be guilty of this. So this is a very important thing to do. And also, let's be real, in new seasons of our relationship, there are different expectations. So prior to kids, having kids, once the kids are grown up, there are different seasons and expectations, and not just around kids, right? Different careers, different locations you're living in, all sorts of things create different seasons in your relationship. And so you need to communicate new expectations, new standards, new whatever as well, because things change and evolve, right? The priorities shift and the expectations have to be communicated accordingly. Number three is have an open conversation. So use I statements and express how you're actually feeling without blame. So if you've been feeling disconnected lately and you want to know what's going on, say that. If you've been feeling like, oh, I don't know, like things in our relationship feel a little different, but I don't know what's happening, ask, say that. Keeping it bottled in gets us nowhere. Not speaking up gets us nowhere. You actually have to communicate what you think and what you feel so you can have a productive conversation from that space. Put it on the table, so to speak, with kindness and love. Number four is ask for their perspective. So they are probably not even aware how you're feeling around the relationship. They're probably not even aware that you're thinking they're kind of half-assing this or they're not putting your all into the relationship. So if they don't know, how can they even fix it? So you have to give people an opportunity to actually step up. You have to give people an opportunity to fix it or to be better. You have to give that opportunity. Now, you also want to rebuild together. So sometimes we've had a hard season and things have gone sideways and all of our habits are gone, all of our connection points are gone. They're not gone, but you're not doing those things that were keeping you connected. So it's okay. You just need to rebuild together. You need to suggest small, actionable steps to reconnect, like scheduling quality time, daily check-ins, something like that, so you can start somewhere. And start small. Do not make it big. Do not write a list of 251 things that you guys are both going to achieve. It is never, ever going to happen. You need to write a list of 1 to 2 things, get them in place, and then you can add more later, but start there. And this next one is so important. It's the one everyone misses out on. It's the one everyone doesn't do. Why? I have no idea, but you want to acknowledge their efforts. So if they are trying more, notice and appreciate it and reinforce it. So it's called a positive feedback loop. When someone does something good, you give them appreciation or gratitude, then they want to do more of that thing and then more of that thing and more of that thing. And it keeps happening. The same with the negative. Say like they do something and it's not negative, like it's not appreciated, it's not valued. Well, like that's where the loop stops. It doesn't keep becoming a loop. They just don't do any more of that. They're like, oh, okay, it wasn't noticed, it wasn't acknowledged, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Pretty much that simple. So acknowledge their efforts, acknowledge what they have done, even if they are just starting to try, even if it's not 100% right, doesn't matter. If they are trying, that is the progress you want. We can refine later, but trying is the first step. So that's very important. And what I really want you to do as well is to control what you can control. So focus on what you can actually control instead of just waiting for them to change. Consider ways you can bring more connection, positivity to the relationship. You have a lot within your control. It's not all on them. So I always say in relationships, it's 100% and 100%. It's not 50-50 ever. It's 100% responsibility for each person, right? We're both grown adults, so it's 100% each. So what can you do to foster more connection, happiness, joy, love in your relationship? There will be plenty of things you can do. If you can't think of anything, I promise you there's things you can do. I would also love to know, what are you going to do? So focusing on what you can control, drop it in the comments below. I would love to know what you're going to do to actually help move your relationship forward. Now, setting healthy boundaries. If this is really like a long-term thing, it's not a seasonal thing that they sort of don't really try in the relationship, it's really important, again, to clarify what you need in the relationship. And this is part of setting healthy boundaries. So if you're needing now they have to be reasonable, practical, tangible, difficult things, right? They need to be basic stuff. Then set the healthy boundaries, because it is important that both partners get what they need from this relationship, obviously in a healthy, safe way. Now, the next one, if this is a kind of an ongoing problem, you really should consider external support, because if communication is improving, honestly, couples therapy can help so much. And if you feel like one of you are not doing enough, couples therapy is wonderful to hold you both lovingly accountable, to kind of move forward, to get those actions in place. And sometimes hearing it from the third party just makes all the difference. I have many couples say that. It makes such a big difference. Plus, there's that accountability of seeing them again, so you know that the other person's going to check in on it, and you can hear it in a different way too. So there's a lot that goes into it, but it makes such a difference. So if this is a problem, honestly, go and get the free Save Your Marriage Blueprint to begin with, and then you can book a call. Let's book a call, have a chat about it. You need to get support if this is a chronic problem in your relationship. And the last point is really to know your worth. So if they are consistently showing little effort and the relationship feels really one-sided, is this relationship really serving you, or do you need support? Or is there been a really hard season and it's becoming difficult to move out of it? Oftentimes that's the case, and sometimes we just need that reset, and that's where the support comes in. So what I would love for you to do is go to the comments below and tell me what's happening for you. What are you going to change based on this episode? Because this is where the rubber really hits the road, where we go and listen to this episode, and then we have a different conversation, or we book support, or we do something different. So go and do that now. Also below, you can check out my retreat, you can check out the free blueprint, and let's start getting things moving in the right way for your relationship, so you both can be putting in 100% effort to create a loving, connected, unshakable relationship. Can't wait to talk to you next time.